life. I'm with Thomas Chisholm out here in Lapeer. He's at the Devonshire Retirement Village where he's been for the past year, but he's a graduate of Oxford High. Thomas is 99 years old. He's a veteran of World War II, and he was very much involved with the horse business, and that's what we were talking about when we left off the last time. When you graduated from Oxford High School, and that was in 1938, you were involved in the horse business because your father was working on a farm that had horses, and you had been all your life really involved with horses. And you were thinking about what you wanted to do with your life, but you couldn't make up your mind, right? What was happening with the horse business that kept you locked into it?
The horse business was pretty good. There were a lot of people that belonged to Metamora Hunt, you know. And you got a horse, you got him, raised him, got him right and everything else. You could get $1,500 for him, which was,
that was real money back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you thinking when things in the world started to get stirred up around World War II? Here you were on the farm with the horse business, and the war was starting to go on, and you were right at the age where you might have to participate.
The Depression ran right up on top of that.
Yep. Was the Depression tough on you guys? Well, it was because your dad lost a farm.
Yeah.
But other than that, what do you remember about living through the Depression?
No, I can't remember. I remember you didn't throw anything away. Everything, you took pretty good care of it.
But you don't remember ever having to go hungry or anything like that?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
That's one thing about working on a farm. They pretty much always had food.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
When did thoughts started going through your mind about being involved with the war?
I was drafted.
You were drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have a choice. They chose you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And where were you sent when you were drafted? Where did you go to basic training?
Camp Lee, Virginia.
And you were in the Army, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once you were in, did you have a choice of what you wanted to do?
Well, I had stamped it that I wanted to be, you know, the first Cav was a big outfit then, and pretty good bunch of soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything there that had anything to do with horses?
At Fort Bliss?
Yeah.
It was at one time the world's largest horse cavalry.
But that didn't involve you at the beginning of World War II?
No.
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 So what were you being trained to do?
What did I want?
In the Army, what were you training to do? What was your specialty?
Horses.
In the Army?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Tell me more about that.
Well, there was Fort Bliss. They had a lot of horses. And we had what they called a remount troop. And we took their lame horses in, and we had a ranch out in the country. And it was like a section of land. And those horses, if they went bad, you know, bad lame, they'd go out there and they'd stay out there for 6 months or so. And if they got, so they were going to be useful, they'd have all the captains of the different troops, the 7th and 8th and 5th and 12th, they all went out there and they ran them through, and if if they didn't act like they were going to be useful, they would IC them. They just kill them. And that's the way that went.
How did they know about your skills with horses? Did they tap you on the shoulder at one time and say, hey, do you know anything about horses? And you said,
No.
heck yes?
No, no. It was just,
They must have found out about you being on a horse farm before.
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I went from Camp Lee right out to Fort Bliss.
Uh-huh.
And of course, that was all horses then.
Yeah. That had to change after a while, though, didn't it? I mean, as the war.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, we had all them horses, and Hitler come down through Poland, and they decided that the Austrians, and they had great horses, you know. Hell, they just piled them up, and so they sold all them horses, and we split them up into groups, and we went out to San Diego and up to Frisco and sold them. Sold them to, you know, the general public to come in and buy them. And there were some real bargains in that, because the Army had some nice horses.
So what was your next job in the Army after that? Did they send you overseas?
How the hell did that go?
I mean, the war was just getting going. You were talking about. Go
There
ahead.
was a 2nd Cavalry Division, and they were out near San Diego, and they were all black, and they dismounted them, and we went out there and dismounted them, and boy, they didn't want to leave that. They sent them overseas as port battalion, in other words, unloading ships. That's what the hell happened.
What did you do after that?
Jesus Christ.
Did you stay in the States?
Oh yeah, it was wartime, and they shipped us up to Frisco, and we stayed on Angel Island. It was a fort out in the bay, at Frisco Bay. We watched them load some of them ships. And we got on that ship, and where the hell did we go?
Well, that's right. You think about that for a minute, because we're going to take a break, but we'll be right back with Thomas Chisholm.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Each year they take in hundreds of dogs and bring them into suitable homes. A certified nonprofit organization, Canine Dog Rescue strives to give pound dogs a new leash on life. To donate, adopt, or even volunteer, call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website, dogsaver.org, and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
Back with Thomas Chisholm. Thomas, you were telling us about you were in San Francisco and you were getting on a ship there.
Yeah,
Where were you going?
we went to New Caledonia. It was an island off Australia, and it was owned by the French.
Uh-huh.
And pretty good sized island. There were some horses there, and they hadn't been taken care of, and we started taking care of those horses and getting them back in shape.
And you were still working with horses then?
Yeah,
What were they going to use the horses for?
they used them as pack animals.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, up in New Guinea, Port Moresby, and places like that. Yeah.
How long did you stay there, do you know?
God, I don't know.
Did you eventually end up in Europe?
Oh, I ended up way up in Burma. Right
Burma?
up near the Chinese border.
So you really weren't involved in the European theater, were you?
Never.
You were involved more in over in Asia, in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay, and what was your job then when you went up near Burma? Were you still involved with horses, or were they training you for something else?
They built what they called Lido Road, to go into the back of China. And they were building it. And we had a bunch of horses on the 13-mile marker on that road.
Did you ever have to train to do something else?
No, they when we came back on troop ships. We came into Seattle, and we came all across the country to Chicago, Fort Sheridan, Illinois, and we got off, and that's where they discharged us, Fort Sheridan.
Were you married at that time?
No.
What were you thinking of doing with your life when they let you out?
I didn't have any idea.
Did you go back on the farm?
Yeah, I did.
Because your dad would have still been living around Oxford at that time, right?
Yeah.
So did you go back to helping to raise horses and things like that?
Yeah. And that farm belonged to a millionaire, and we raised a lot of horses there. Not a lot. We raised some horses there.
You rubbed shoulders with some pretty important people, didn't you?
Pardon?
You got to know some pretty important people.
Yeah, the best one was a man called Frederick S. Ford. He had oodles of money.
Frederick Ford? Is that what you said?
F.S. Ford.
Uh-huh.
Now they weren't the gasoline Fords. They called them the salt Fords.
Uh-huh.
They were involved. Wyandotte Chemical was one of their big things, but they also had all the cement tied up. Hell, I don't know what else. That family went back to timber. They said when the Chicago fire burned in Chicago, it was all Michigan lumber. Came down the lake and rebuilt it.
When did you meet your wife? I mean, roughly, how old were you when you met your wife?
Hell, was I still in school? I think I was.
Well, I mean, when you started dating her.
Right after school, right after high school.
So you knew her and were dating her when you went into the service. You knew her and were dating her when you went into the service, is that right? Okay. So when you get out of the service, is that when you decided to get married?
No, it was a long time before I ever got married.
You dated her for a while before you decided.
I was 35 before I ever got married.
Really? But this was a girl that you knew when you were going to school? Ah. Did she wonder why you waited so long? Okay, you got married when you were 35, and up till that time, were you working on the farm?
Yeah.
Did you start your own business by then?
How did that go? Well, I tell you what. I was whipping in Metamora Hunt. I was first whipped. They paid me, I don't know, hell, not much money, but one of them had a garage apartment that I could live in. So that was all right.
How did you get your business started, your horse
Oh,
transportation business?
He had a man working for him, taking care of his horses, and they had a van, a 6-horse semi. He got hauling. He didn't have a license or anything, but he got hauling around, and he got me driving it.
Did he ask you to help him out?
Yeah, because there was money on the side, you know, and nobody knew about it. He paid me about half of it. I got so I could drive a semi pretty good. How the hell was that?
And what we're talking about is moving horses like from the colder climate down to the warmer climate during the winter time and then bringing them back up again.
Yeah.
We got to take a break now. We're going to pick up on that in just a moment. Don't go away.
There's a lot of history to Oxford. Hidden around every corner, deep in every crack, and sometimes right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. If you just dig a little, you'll find the great history of our beautiful town. Welcome to Historic Oxford.
Here with Thomas Chisholm talking about the horse transportation business. So how did that evolve into your own? I mean, you had a pretty good business going there for 30 years, didn't you? How did that turn into a business of your own?
Well, I had to go to Lansing and take some witnesses with me that said there was room open. See, you use the public roads. You have to have a franchise. So I took them and then I got a franchise.
To use a public room for what? I don't understand.
It was to ship, race, and show horses.
Oh, okay. Very good. Now, at what time during all of this did you start buying horses of your own? Was that right around this same time when you were getting into the transportation business? Because you owned several horses that were race horses, right?
How the hell did that happen? There was a guy on a ship called El Baron, and he trained race horses. And when he got a good mare that could run, I had a farm. Used to be, hell, if they broke down or something, they shipped them to France, and people ate them in France. And he gave me some mares that he said, well, hell, they ought to be, this mare she ought to produce a runner. And so I had a farm, and I took them and started raising horses. Not too many horses, but some.
But some were involved as racehorses too.
Yeah, that was the thing. As a racehorse, that's what made them valuable.
Yeah. How did you do with the racehorses? Was that a good thing for you?
Oh yeah, he took them and trained them, just like that. God, she won a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And that was your horse?
Yeah, she was mine. She ran my wife's name.
Right. Was your wife as interested in horses as you?
Hmm?
Did your wife love
Oh,
horses?
she loved it.
But did she come from a family that raised horses?
Just farmers. They were just plain
farmers?
farmers. Milk cows.
That had to be kind of an exciting life, raising horses that participated in races. I mean, did you go all around the country with that, or around the Detroit area? Where did you go?
Detroit was a good place to be.
Yeah.
It was for the casinos, and people played the races. Jesus, they do $1 million every day,
Yeah.
every Saturday. Not every day, every Saturday. They do $1 million. They didn't race on usually like Monday or Tuesday, but they raced the rest of the week.
And you transported horses too for other people. Where were some of the places that you went to with these horses?
Well, Cleveland there used to be a lot of show horse interest in Cleveland. And we went, Milwaukee had a bunch of show horses.
Uh-huh.
Pap Spear.
So you would take other people's horses to these places?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about like for the winter time? Did you take horses down to Florida and that sort of thing?
We never run Florida much because to go to Florida from here, you had to have something. Well, you usually, about all you got was one horse. Well, hell, you couldn't go to Florida for one horse. And, so we didn't do much of that.
Yeah. Now you had one child, a son, and he eventually was involved in your horse business.
Mm-hmm.
Was he interested in that right from the start?
Yeah, he got started in it, but then he bumped into a guy that was heavy haul, and they hauled heat treat furnaces and big presses and machine tools and that kind of stuff. And he kicked the horse business, bought a great big fancy drop frame trailer so he could.
So he was into the trucking business.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you remember? How old was he when he did that? Do you remember, roughly?
Well, their rates were a whole lot better.
Yeah, but how old was your son when he went into the trucking business?
Oh hell, he was driving a truck when he was 14 years old.
Uh-huh. When he was 14. So you kind of lost him from the farm then at an early age,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So what did you do with your business after that, when your son was no longer involved?
I kept going with Trust.
Did you?
Yeah.
At some point, did your son get back into the business and keep it going as you got older?
No, Uh-uh.
It was all on your shoulders after that,
Yeah.
huh? And what happened with your business had a lot to do with what happened with horse racing in general, didn't it?
Yes.
Tell me more about that. What happened? What was the reason for the decline in the horse racing business?
Well, yeah, you got 2 horse trailers. You've seen them. You know, they go behind the pickup. And we got to doing some of that. Well, that was outlawed. You shouldn't do that. But we did it anyway. And we got Morgan, who was the man that had it originally. He had so much business, he didn't pay any attention to us. He just let us go. We just built up from.
Was that the beginning of when things started going downhill, or what? What happened with horse racing during their later years? You said something about the casinos moved in. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, people just, they like to turn their money over, their gambling money over faster. And it turned over faster in the casinos than it did in horse business.
So that caused the demise of the
Yeah,
horse racing business. Your wife passed away about 10 years ago,
yes.
and you still lived on your horse farm at that time?
Yes, we did.
Okay. What goes through your mind when you think back about your life, all the different things that you've done? Do you believe that you did all those things?
Oh, yeah.
That you knew all those people?
Well, I like the trucking business.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If you could change anything, would you change it?
Yeah. After Ford, not the Fords I worked for, but the Ford Motor Company opened the proving grounds out in Romeo. FS, they all know each other, all those people. And he asked me if I wanted to get into the proving grounds. And I said, no, I don't want to do that.
Son of a gun. Well, you've had a very interesting life, and we appreciate your talking to us about it. Thomas Chisholm, thanks for joining us.
Our OCTV News team, bringing your news closer to home. With local news anchors Elgin Nichols and Terry Stiles, Julie Hogan with Calendar of Events, Cody Wright with Sports, and David Kenny with Auto Talk and Science in the News. OCTV, serving Oxford, Leonard, and Addison communities for over 29 years.